All right, guys, as promised, full video on the F550 bus Cerrone here. The party bus turned family, super budget, poor man's Earthroamer type build. I think I bought this thing nearly 2 years ago, and I went on this thing where I was just wanted something, wanted to build. We just had Cooper and the family was getting bigger, and I either just sold or was about to sell my Jayco Sprinter van. That thing was cool, it was just too small. And I was like, I need something. So I was shopping for projects and found this kind of unicorn. You know, didn't look quite like this, didn't have the big tires or anything, but it was a shuttle bus that was factory 6.7 Power Stroke, factory 4-wheel drive. And as far as these style buses go, it was like a super short version of it. So 25 feet from the front bumper to the rear bumper. So relatively small vehicle for how spacious it is inside. What also adds to that is it just has one seat. So it's not a crew cab, and it's not even a 2-passenger seat. It is literally a bus. One seat and maybe a dog bed there, but we got the door that starts where, you know, the passenger seat would be, to give us even more room in the interior. And I thought it was gonna be the coolest thing, and then I just was too busy to do anything. So it sat for 1.5 years. And I gave myself a little deadline where I was like, I'm going out, actually bringing the whole family plus my parents out to a friend's wedding out in Moab in September. So what's happening is there's no kids allowed at the wedding. I have my kids. Ashley kind of wants to go and explore Moab area a little bit. We'll probably go to Arches, do some touristy stuff, and we're going to bring the family. So me, wife, 3 kids. But when we're at the wedding, we need someone to watch the kids, and then I have a great relationship with my parents. So we said, hey, maybe we'll bring my parents out. They can watch the kids while we're at the wedding, and we'll just kind of have like a full like family vacation. So 7 people. And I do have a Toyota Sequoia, but even that would be so tight, especially with luggage and stuff. If we're going to a national park, gonna want drinks and sandwiches, and kids are gonna need to take a nap and all that. So anyway, this, I'm trying to get it ready to go. It's July already. I'm trying to get this thing buttoned up in 2 months. And what has to happen is a ton of maintenance, actually. I've been just going through the truck. I just actually, for the first time since owning it, drove it out on the road for literally the first time in almost 2 years. Took it out on the road. I got it insured, got it registered, fixed some stuff, and got it out. And that was kind of a little mini shakedown run. And I got to fix some stuff in the front end. I got some boots that are leaky. I got a steering stabilizer that looks blown. I'm gonna fix the caster here. That's supposed to be the main thing to help death. Oh, I got death wobble, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna replace some bushings and whatnot, maybe tie rod ends, and maybe I'll add dual steering stabilizers just for like cherry on top, but also fix the caster. So that, I did all fluids and filter. Well, I didn't do like diff and transmission. I maybe will do those as well. But all the kind of the more basic stuff, fuel filters, air filters, oil change, all that kind of crap. Gonna go on a little weight loss journey as well. And it's been going on another, like separate from that, another weight loss journey where I've gutted the whole interior. So what I did do last year was start to gut the interior. Now I've done it more. I've pulled out probably 1 mile of wire and hoses and stuff like that. And I still got quite a bit more to do. Like I said earlier, I swapped to these 41-inch military super single tires. I'm doing super singles on the 450, but I'm doing different tires. I'm gonna do Toyo MTs on the 450, whereas this one are these military tires, because this is a pretty heavy, this is a 17,500 GVWR vehicle. I couldn't do something like a single Toyo MT in the rear of this because it's just too much weight. So we did have to do the militaries, which have a lower speed rating, and they're just not as good overall, but they have the load rating I need. So that's why you see these crazy trucks on the military tires. It's usually because the load rating. But let me tell you, getting these dualies off, that was a chore. These, I don't know when they've been off last time, but they were rusted together. They were rusted to the hubs. These are chisel marks here. I got a chisel in and was beating on it. I did the jack press thing on the hub to try and get it out. And then I just loosened the lugs and drove around on some bumpy stuff. And a combination of all those things, I was finally able to get these things off. And a lot of penetrating oil that I just let soak down into these. But that was a nightmare. And the lugs were insane. So I recently bought this guy. This is if you ever need a little workout, this is what you need. This is the DCF 961. I had a smaller 3/8 impact. This is the 1/2 inch, and this is the big boy. This is, if this can't get it off, then good luck to you. With that, Vevor they've reached out to me a handful of times wanting to send me some stuff, and it's always been stuff that I didn't really care about. So I just hit them up with what I do want and would use is just a big beefy impact socket set. So Vevor sent this out, 65 piece impact set, and I have been putting this thing to work on this old bus and also on the 450. So I've actually bought quite a few things from Vevor because it's priced right. You guys know that. And I bought them as kind of almost throwaway stuff, and everything I've gotten from them has been solid. So this, also solid, comes with pretty decent, pretty good size 1/2 inch ratchet. 3 extensions, which I've used all of them extensively. A little wobble, some adapters, but mostly we just have deep impact and shallow impact, and we go pretty big here, all the way up to 1 1/4 inch and all the way up to 24 millimeter. Now I do have a bunch of specialty bigger ones that I've bought for hubs and this and that through the years, but this size range handles most of the things that you're going to come across. It goes all the way down to 3/8 in SAE and down to 10 millimeter in metric. So covers most of your bases, obviously, except for the small stuff. But this, paired with the frickin' Thor's hammer here, has really been a problem solver for me. So these lugs, these ones were like spray painted silver, as you can see. These ones, I need to, do some rust work here. These ones did not want to come off. Any of these ones did not want to come off. They were insane. So anyway, this setup has been clutch. So thanks, Vevor, for sending this out. I think they're doing some crazy 4th of July type sales now as well, when you can get this thing for a steal. This whole set under $100, wild. I was always piecing together little things and breaking off other things I had, or using a 3/8 adapter on, a 1/2 inch bar or impact or whatever, and just breaking stuff left and right. These have been solid. This is not something they wanted me to talk about. They didn't send this to me. I bought this with my own money, but this I also bought from them. I was just remembering. Vevor, this is a floor sweeper. You push it like a lawnmower, and it sweeps the floor into this little basket inside. And if you have a shop space or something, I actually told the guys at Running for Tacos about this, and now they bought one and use it for their shop. But if you have a shop or a big area that you just need to sweep and you're tired of using a push broom, game changer. So yes, was finally able to get the big boys mounted. Again, got a little more clearancing work today. We're pretty good in the rear. Here we are. This is basically full lock. So this is the 450, 550 insane turning radius here. Like, look at that tire. Anyway, so in the back, I've trimmed a bunch. So that's like that thick normally the whole way. So I trimmed like 3 inches back here, and there's actually quite a bit of room for more. There's this kind of piece here, but there's nothing behind it. It's just a void, nothing behind here, just a void up until here. This is where you get into the footwell of the truck. So, you know, if I really wanted to clear some more, I'd do a little bit of a tub. I may just grab a sledge and really beat this area back here. But we're pretty clearanced everywhere else. And then in the front, you can see, well, can you see? We're not touching anywhere right now. I had to cut this whole big bracket out. I'll show you on the other side here. I got a kit coming, ordered a kit from Buckstop Truckware, where they have fenders and a whole cut guide, and then actually I think you just hack this whole thing off, and they have a replacement bracket that goes in here. But this was normally a tube that went from here down to here. I only left the front little section intact. This is some plastic that got pulled around that I need to cut off as well. So that's relatively clearance, though. When we're flexed a little bit and turned to near full lock, do rub a little bit here and a little bit here. So we'll need to clearance a little more. And here you can see we're pretty close through here, but not bad. But with the Buckstop fenders, I believe, I just didn't do it yet, but I believe you gotta cut probably quite a bit up here, and then I think they use the factory holes to mount back in. So I'll need to do some modifications with the bumper, I think, but those flares basically bring it out 8 inches to cover these tires. Anyway, I just wanted to crank the wheel so you could see how wild the turn looks with 41-inch tires on there. But pretty cool that there's no lift on this 550 here, and we fit them. In the rear, actually, they're totally fine. I had this thing flexed out all the way. If I remember, I'll show a little bit of it here, but actually got it to where one tire was off the ground, and this tire was like this far from touching. There are some bump stops in here. I need to see if I was actually hitting the bumps or just hitting the support leaves, but this well actually fits the tire pretty good. So it's like fully inside here. The dually was fully inside here. I think this is about 1 inch in the rear, 1 inch narrower roughly than the dually was. So yeah. All right, real quick flex test right in front of the house, but we are tucked fully into the fender here. We're not hitting bump stops yet. I don't know if you can tell, but this tire is actually off the ground. Well, I don't know, when I push it I can spin the tire. So that's full droop. Again, this is just factory suspension. Here we have pretty much full tuck, but it's very close. Like I can't quite fit my finger. Well, I could fit my pinky finger up here, but my ring finger gets caught. That's how close we are to tapping on that full stuff in there. And then this one's essentially full droop, which sure doesn't look like much, but we are more than that. Droop down. Again, this tire pretty much doesn't have any weight. I don't know if you saw, but when I rocked it, it spun. a little bit. So it's basically full flex again with the new fenders. I will be cutting probably another inch or two out of here. So I'll be able to get up in there pretty nicely. You got, you know, the box, the bus, even though this is full flex on this system, it's not ripping apart at the seams anywhere that I can tell. So I think we're doing all right. It's just sitting on the factory suspension right now. So ride is a little rough, but the big tires do help that ride quite a bit. Switching to singles versus duals will help with off-road performance by a large margin. So not that I'm going to be taking this thing down Blackbird Pass or anything like that, but I do live in the mountains of Colorado, and we go camp on a lot of, I mean, sometimes they're just fire roads, sometimes they're a little bit more gnarly than that. We have a lot of passes, a lot of old mining roads, some tight trails that this thing has no business ever being on, but also some trails that this thing could go. Basically, if an Earthroamer could go on it, this could go on it. This is actually a little bit smaller than an Earthroamer, and even not lifted, which I kind of want to not lift it, like the ground clearance here is more. It's like 5 or 6 inches more than my lifted Tacoma on 37s. It's more than my Tundra on 37s. It's more than my 80 series Land Cruiser on 37s. It's a lot more than my LX 570 on 37s. Got a lot of vehicles on 37s. This has more ground clearance significantly than any of those vehicles. Now, the approach and departure angles aren't as good, but actually the approach and departure angles also aren't horrible. There's not a ton of overhang on this. It's the breakover angle that will be a problem. So with the increased ground clearance, we could still probably take this thing to a lot of places. A lot of you probably don't have experience with buses, off-roading, but there's some options out there. Obviously for heavy duty trucks, a lot of people go to Carly. A lot of people, there's another company that I'm just finding about that's more like heavy duty, like big truck rated stuff, and that's Kelderman air suspension. They have a cool kit for the F550s where you maintain the factory, but you add an airbag system like behind it, which seems really cool. So I was looking at the Kelderman setup. They have liquid springs, but this truck is too old for the liquid springs. You need like the newer electronics and stuff for them. So I couldn't, even if I had 20 grand to drop, I couldn't do liquid springs on this. So I think probably the sickest setup is the Kelderman stuff. I'm not going to do that before September, I don't think, unless there's some miracle. If someone at Kelderman hit me up, yo, if you're watching this. But I don't think I'm going to do that before September. But depending on how the build goes and how much money and time I want to dump into this thing, I probably will at some point look into ways to get the suspension a little better. The other thing on the exterior is, you know, it's silver. It's not a horrible color. Honestly, it just looks like any other, you know, passenger bus type thing, though, probably. So it isn't great. It's not in great condition either. There are some things I need to fix, some cracks and whatnot. There's one up there. Oh, these lights, half of them were out, so I replaced them with these cool like halo LED blacked out action, and a lot of these lights are out, so I may see if I can get some black versions of these or just replace the bulbs. This handle was broken, so I fixed it, and now I can get access to the inside. And then for the exterior, there's this bumper, unfortunately, which is welded to the frame. There's like a little frame extension welded under here. There's no hitch on this thing, so this thing had never towed in its life. And I was looking at adding a hitch, you know, a big heavy-duty hitch like a Kurt or something, but I would need to hack this bumper support off and grind a bunch of stuff to even get access to where the Kurt hitch would want to mount up. And even then, I think it'd be like a foot back because they extended the frame on this. I'm not going to really show you because there's not much to look at. But that from about there, well, actually about there back is frame extension. So I don't know if Glaval or Forest River, whoever made this bus, extended that frame for some reason, if they just needed a little more room in here. But anyway, that frame is extended. The OEM frame stops right about there. And then this part, which attaches to the bumper, is just straight up welded partially onto the frame and then mostly onto the frame extension portion. So the hitch, that would need to go away, and I'd need to figure out if I could make a hitch line up, or I just do something else and I don't get like a true tow rated hitch. But I kind of wanted a true tow rated hitch. Granted, my towing capacity is greatly diminished with these 41s, but I could still tow some small stuff pretty easily. So then, do I want to keep the factory rear bumper? I want a way to carry a spare 41 inch. I do have the spare. It's sitting right over there. So I was thinking of either building a new custom bumper or just using this bumper as a base, but then adding basically a deck. So this is about 6 or 7 feet, about roughly a square in this area here, where the spare tire would be here, and I could put, you know, max tracks and a bunch of other stuff on basically a giant swing out type panel that's like a 7 foot by 7 foot swing out, but it won't swing out, it'll swing down. But I could mount a bunch of stuff on there, you know. I'd have to weld up a little, some type of hinge bushing, like a Heim joint type something here, to where it basically folds up, and then maybe I put a little winch or something up there to pull it up, and then, you know, lock into this wall. This wall is got some steel beam reinforcements here, well, you know, square tube, that I could basically fold it up to this and then, you know, attach it to that. And then when I want it to come down, basically it would come down, and all that stuff that was mounted here would now be under basically a deck. So I'd have this door opens up, and then I would have essentially a 7 foot by 7 foot deck, you know, kind of like how the toy haulers have that deck out there. I thought that might be cool. It gives me a place to store a bunch of stuff, and then just kind of gives a cool deck so you can open this door up and just walk out onto the deck. That might be cool. And then I may do something on the roof as well, whether that's rooftop deck or whatnot. I know I will throw some solar panels up there. And then before we get inside, I don't want to repeat myself too much because I already did a whole video on this thing, but this does have the dual, I think this is factory, dual tanks, not even transfer tanks. It's just, I just flip a switch and the gauge adjusts on the dash, and then the truck runs off of either the rear or the front tank. So that's pretty cool. I think the front tank's relatively small, like, I don't know, 20 some gallon or something, and this one is, I think the rear is a 40 gallon under here. I'll need to triple check on that, but we do have dual fuel tanks. And then, on the outside, so I was thinking, once I fixed a few things, I'm thinking either wrap or like a Raptor liner, like a tinted Raptor liner. You know, all the new Earthroamers are Raptor line, and I think the GX, the Storyteller, GXV, whatever, the hilt, I think they're Raptor lined as well. And I think I want to Raptor line it. Just, we'll kind of clear up some stuff. We'll have a protective layer versus wrapping, but maybe I want to wrap it. I don't know. I'm kind of torn between the two. And I'm thinking olive green, or honestly, maybe UPS brown. Maybe a little lighter than UPS brown, but I'm thinking maybe brown. I got the Poop Cruiser brown. I got the LX brown. Brown's kind of my thing. I know olive green is kind of my thing, but brown's kind of my thing as well. So I don't think I would want a Raptor line like a nice car, but this thing, it makes a lot of sense. A protective barrier, you know, it's not, the body's not perfect or anything like that. So maybe that. So anyway, let me know your thoughts or if you have any experience with that, because it's a lot of surface area. And again, I'm trying to keep this thing relatively budget, and I'm doing a lot of the work, pretty much all of the work myself. Unless there's something that's above my head, and maybe I'll take it into a diesel shop or something, but I'm doing pretty much everything myself on this. So the thought of being able to do paint that looks kind of cool, is really durable, will cover up some of the imperfections that I fix, like a couple of the cracks and stuff, I'll fix that, and then just be able to cover that up with Raptor liner. I don't know, there's something appealing. There's something appealing about it. And I've seen people get good results with the spray on. I think you can get good results with the roll on, but I think the spray on is kind of the way to go. And then you do the custom tinting. Anyway, Raptor liner is the one I know about. Let me know if you've used others or have experience with others or whatever. And maybe that's something I'll do. I think I'll keep, like UPS style, keep the roof white. Now it's not a see-through roof. The whole thing's like spray foamed and insulated. But I think white roof, solar panels, roof rack, and then olive green or brown, or I don't know. We'll see. And then the other thing I'm doing, since I have all of the AC and everything was ripped out of here before I bought it, I have these big voids. So really, between this wall and the frame, there's just a void on both sides. Like there's a couple little things where there's the fuel fill and whatnot. But there's essentially an 18-inch tall void. And you know what else is 18 inches tall a lot of times? Underbody boxes. So I got some underbody boxes on order. I'll talk about those more later when I get them and install them. But I'm putting a 72-inch. 72 goes from about here to about here. So basically that whole section there, 72 at 6 feet, guys. This is 72 by 18 by 18. Like a full-grown man could fit in that box. So I'll put one here, and same thing on the other side. Now this area's got the fuel fill and stuff, so I don't think I could put a box here, but I could put a small one, but I could put another 30-inch, like 30-inch by 15 roughly here, and have all of this storage, because this basically, the interior of this thing is this height. So anything below that is essentially just a void that I can use for storage. So the other thing is, there's been a couple other buses from this run that have been out there. There's actually a build, I don't know if it's still for sale. Some guy was trying to sell it for like $100,000 or something, which is basically the same bus that he did the same thing, super singles, and did a little interior build out. That bus, and I've seen a couple others, like old listings for this. Like I think they did a run of like 11 of these buses back in 2011, and maybe some of them are totaled, maybe some of them are still in service, but a few of them came up for sale. I got one of them, and a couple other people got other ones. Mine's the only one that has this drop down section here. All of the other ones I've seen are just flat across, which I so wish mine was. I got gypped. I got the lamest one of them. But I've seen like 3 other ones from this run on the internet, and they all don't have that. Anyway, I do. So I need to figure out, that's my lowest point. Now this is still probably 1.5 feet. This is about the ground clearance of like my Tacoma, this section here. Now this is quite a bit higher. So this looks really low, but it's still pretty high off the ground, but it's definitely my lowest point. It's the point that I'm gonna hit on stuff. So I kind of want to hack it off, but I can't. That's, safety glass. I can't realistically cut and shorten that door and change the hinges. So then I could just pull this door off entirely, which it's broken right now. There's gears that are stripped in there, and I need to figure that thing out. So it's just right now I manually manually, literally this kind of manually, not like a manual opener. It was an electronic opener, but it is broken. So basically I close these and I put a little clamp in there to keep them closed on the road. So I need to fix that, but I don't want to put much effort into fixing it when maybe I just rip those doors off, cut that up, weld a little bottom plate, and then do, you know, a lot of people with the schoolie conversions put just like a house door in, but I think that looks kind of stupid. Like the bus door kind of fits the aesthetic. And I don't think I can get an RV door. Like if I got an RV door that size, I don't know, it'd probably be like $3,000. But I could put, you know, I could fabricate a door, a regular door with a, you know, a handle, and that would be much more convenient when, you know, we're unloading and we want to lock it, or you put a little keypad lock on here and just open it and close it. But look, it'll look kind of, I don't know, I think it'll look kind of dumb. I don't know, let me know your thoughts on door stuff that doesn't involve a lot of money and doesn't involve any crazy fabrication, because I don't have time for that. Maybe longer term I'll fabricate something cool, some like hinge door that like goes up like a Tesla Model X or something, or, you know, I don't know. But that's a problem. And I got this bus and I didn't get any keys for any of this other stuff. So inside not much has changed. I'll just show you a little bit and kind of talk about the plan. So this doesn't open, it's leaking, it's broken. It's actually just siliconed, like somebody used 4 bottles of silicone everywhere. So I need to just, at some point I'm gonna need to angle grind and sawzall this thing out, and it leaks and everything, but it doesn't open and it leaks. So I think I'll cut that out, put a panel replacement, and then probably put a roof mounted AC in there. I was thinking about putting a skylight or something, but I think I'll put an AC unit, and then I'll probably put a couple fans in as well. So I don't know if I want to put 2 fans in, like a push and a pull, like one in the front, one in the back. But the problem is in the front, I want to put a bunch of solar panels on top. So I won't really have room for a fan unless I just have a big void of no solar because I put a fan in instead. So there's some stuff I need to figure out with roof layout as well. I'm going to be tackling that as well as building out all of the rest of the interior here. Now I don't have a cab over like an Earthroamer or like a lot of these RVs. It's just basically like a little aero cap essentially. And that's really just to give you headroom to get in here, because this is the headroom. And this is the thing right here. So since this door, this entryway is pushed so far forward, you're literally entering where this seat is. That cap needs to be there. But there is, you know, a good amount of storage area back in here. I thought about doing like a slide out or a flip out mini bed or something for the kids, but I don't think I'm gonna do anything. I'm just gonna do storage, maybe a TV up there. And even though I've been ripping out a ton of wiring, I still need to sort through this mess, because some of these go to the running lights and stuff that I want to keep, and some of these go all the way back to my actual lights that I need to keep, my blinkers and reverse lights and everything. So anyway, the wiring, basically all of the wiring for stuff that I need, and then a bunch of stuff that I ripped out is all here. So I ripped a lot of it out back to, you know, here. So stuff that I haven't fully ripped out is just kind of all here. So everything that's cut off, I'll track that all back and then mess with that. Like none of this stuff works. Like the bus has some advantage. I talked about them earlier on, but when I was shopping for the bus, I was also shopping for F550 box trucks. And the box trucks would be better. They're taller. They're like a foot taller than this. So I like that this exterior height is a little bit shorter than the box trucks, I believe. But the box trucks, they're square walled. These aren't actually square walled. It won't affect me too much. They come up a little bit on the inside. And even though these windows are super, you know, there's a lot of windows, and this will be great for national park tours and whatnot. And these windows even like fold out and slide out here. Like they're kind of cool, but they're not insulated. They're not like RV style windows. So if you got a box truck, you could put some like true insulated RV style windows that have like the bug shades built in and the sun shades built in, and that would be kind of nice. So I was shopping for box truck, didn't find anything, especially 4-wheel drive diesel box trucks, and the box trucks, not all of them have the pass through. And this is like not like just a pass through, it's just a complete opening. Getting in and out of this is very easy. It's not like a little, you know, contortionist window you got to climb through in an Earthroamer or some of the box trucks that have. So there are things that I definitely prefer about the bus. But one thing you wouldn't have to worry about with the box truck would be all of this wiring and all of these hoses for the heaters that I've been ripping out. Just all of this other crap that sucks with the bus. But if we're going to look on the bright side, we do have insulation here. We have 1.5 inches of insulation on the sides. We got these studs basically every 24 inches, so easy to attach things to. It's not all bad. It's not all bad in the bus. And I was thinking about making, like, you know, there's a difference between cool aesthetic layout and interiors and then like full functioning layouts. And we've had a couple of vans now and whatnot, and the interiors were always broken up. They didn't feel very wide. And then again, since there's only one seat, I actually got seats out of a new Transit to put in here, so we have legit shoulder harness, like actual true safe seats. So I'm putting 2 sets, so 4 true actual seats in here that I'll lay out with a little table, kind of a dinette, so the kids and the family can hang out there. And you know, it's like they're at a table, play cards, socialize. You know, it's much better than just sitting in, you know, in a 4-door crew cab truck for 8 hours a day. So that I'm real excited about. And then basically my idea is like this trip where I'm taking 7 people in September. I want to be able to seat people comfortably, but hang out. Like 7 people aren't going to sleep in here and live out of this thing. We're just going to drive and we're going to stay in hotels. But it's still functioning essentially as a passenger bus at that point. So I'm planning on putting like 4 true seats here. And then basically this whole side over here, I'm going to do, it's long enough for 2 beds essentially. So I'm going to do benches. So this is going to be a bed and a bed, 30-inch bed, 30-inch bed, and then it's going to be able to fold out into like a 60 or a 54-inch bed, so kind of like a full or a queen roughly bed here. But when it's in bench mode, that's a lot of seating. The interior feels very open. There's a lot of places to lounge and hang out and lay down and play games or watch TV or do whatever it is we're going to do when we're out visiting national parks and camping and stuff. So it'll feel very open. But also I'll be able to transport, I think, 4, so 12 passenger plus me. So it'll be like a 12 passenger, and I'm going to put seat belts, you know, lap belts there, so we can legit carry 12 passengers still in this bus, but it'll still be an RV, because behind here, this is where we're going to have the whole kitchenette, refrigerator, cooktop, microwave. I'm going to do cabinets along the whole top. I'm going to do a big full-size kind of cabinet here that's going to have a toilet, and we're not going to put a shower. So this is going to be kind of big, you know, it can hang jackets and stuff, but also we'll have a toilet in there if you needed some privacy. I'm planning to do a toilet that you can remove. So if we're at a camp spot, I can set up one of those like outhouse things and have the toilet in it. Or, you know, if we're traveling or, you know, at a gas station or whatever, we can have the toilet in there. You know, if you don't want to use the gas station or whatever, if we're in a park somewhere. Toilet there and kitchenette. And so anyway, it'll be super open. That's what we hated about the vans. They were just too crammed in. We actually had the first van, the Jayco Swift, that had the layout that I'm kind of talking about. Like the bathroom was in the back, so the main area felt open and big. So that's what I'm going for here. And I'm going to add, I think, 800 amp hours of batteries. I'm going to do try to get 800 to 1200 watts of solar on the top, inverter charger, solar chart, probably a couple solar chargers, probably roof mounted AC, kind of an RV fridge, like I mentioned, toilet situation, all that stuff. And then, yeah, a bunch of storage underneath, storage on the back, and then basically full upper cabinets along this whole way, I think, and then storage in the front. I'm still figuring out the flooring situation and how I want to run the plumbing. Kitchen will be over here, so I'll probably keep it super simple. That's the other thing I hated, winterizing RVs. It seemed like it never worked, and something was leaking somewhere. I want to keep my plumbing situation super, super easy and minimal, where I'll have an exterior spigot and interior, and then maybe, I don't know yet, but maybe I'll build the toilet area with a shower kind of pan in there, so you could shower in there. I'm not sure on that yet. But also got to figure out diesel heater, air heater, probably, and then maybe water heater. I don't know about water heater again, because I'm not really doing shower as a primary element of the bus. Anyway, I talked about a lot of stuff in this video, some that you guys care about. Even if you don't care, just lie to me and tell me you care. Or just tell me the truth and tell me you don't care and you hate it and you hope this thing rolls off the side of a cliff and not with anybody in it. But yeah, that's it. But I would love some feedback from you guys on all the things that I talked about. Some things, you think would be cool, some things that you would advise against, some things that you would encourage me to do, some things that you would add. Maybe you travel around a lot with your family of 5. We're not trying to live in this thing full time. Not in the slightest. Like, not going to live in this thing. But we'll take, maybe week-long road trips. Maybe later, longer, couple week-long road trips in this thing. And that's the idea of it. So storage for gear, bikes and whatnot on the back, all that crap could go on the roof, paddle boards, whatnot. But a lot of maintenance, a lot of stuff that needs to get finished first. But anyway, I will be hammering on this over the next couple of months to try and get it done before September. So there will be several more videos coming. Cool. All right, guys. Well, appreciate you watching. Leave a comment down below. Give me some feedback. All right. And I'll do a F450 video soon too, because I'm doing a lot of work on that. Sweet. All right. Till next time, guys. Take care.